All right. All right. So last time we did a sort of a quick walkthrough from the site. There were other references you can go off and do. You can read about the individual skills. And I was glazing it over to keep things moving, especially with the chat interaction here. And there were things that, I that needed to be to go back into and touched upon. Anyway, there that was the quick and dirty, right? When you make your investigator, all of these are going to you want to roll at or under in order to succeed at any particular thing. Well, now we are... Oh, I hope that you enjoyed it, Hero Dragon. But now we are... Oh, where'd my book go? Oh, there we go. We're going to get into our books. There is a kind of a quick mention of the aspects of the characters in the quick start rules. As well, there are manufactured characters, like ready to go characters, so that you can take a look at those characters and understand how they work with what the little tutorial, with what the blurb says. So this is the Keeper's Book, and remember, there is an Investigator Handbook too, which has a lot of extra things that you can consider. It's not necessary. I mean, you might say it's a core book in that it expands things, kind of like how, Player's Handbook in D&D, that's most of D&D. But the DMG does have extra rules. It even has extra subclasses with the Paladin and the Cleric, and some other considerations too. So if you do delve into the Quick Start Guide, which is here, it will go down the character, the investigator sheet. This is the explanation that we went through for the regular, the hard, the extreme. It's going to go over your eight different attributes. It's going to explain hit points, magic points, how you can go about calculating this and considering it. What does sanity do? Here's the chart on credit rating. Now, the character that we made before had a credit rating of 50, which is wealthy, some degree of luxury. Skills. This section lists all the common skills available. Your investigator can attempt to use most of these skills using the base value noted in parentheses. The ones with increased values are the skills your investigator is relatively proficient in. The higher the value, the more skilled they are. And that's what Ivalon was talking about, that I don't think was detailed on the website. I did a quick fill through, but especially because it's pointed out here and elsewhere on our sheet, it's not that we can't try and solve an accounting conundrum, and we can certainly attempt to climb. It's just that these values are the values that you see in parentheses. But the website didn't necessarily touch on that. It was more, well, these are the things you're good at. So you could fill out every skill here and say, you know what, Charm's 15, and you can see what it does across the board in the character builder here. So just because what? Oh, that's right. It's because it's calculated off of this. So I didn't fill it in. That was for time and generating what we were purposely generating, with everything else being kind of a leftover. But let's go back. We have our blank sheet. This in the quick start rules is going over the super basics, and in the back, like I said, are investigators here, so you can see how it is that this investigator would operate. So here we have a private investigator with these particular skills. Now you'll see that these ones also don't have the half and the fifth. You know, you could do the mental math, or you could just fill everything in, probably saving that stuff for last, or using an auto calculator one. But there are charts as well that can help you out with that. So a really good way to explore. But now within the Call of Cthulhu, I'm going to stretch this out a little bit here. We have our quick reference for investigator generation. Here is something that the quick start it didn't touch on. Age. Roll 3d6 multiplied by 5 for the characteristics Strength, Con, Dex, App, and POW. Appearance. Roll 2d6 plus 6 multiplied by 5 for Size, Int, and Education. But before writing these results onto the sheet, decide the age of the investigator. As our age... well, we'll see here. If we're age 15 to 19, deduct 5 points from strength or size, and also from education. Roll twice for luck and use the higher value. Deduct 20 points from strength, con, or dex if you're in your 60s, split across 1, 2, or all 3, and reduce appearance by 15. Make 4 improvement checks for education. Ah, okay. This is showing investigators at different stages in life. So if we're gonna do one, the slower way, I suppose. I skipped. I probably just should have. There we go. We are in chapter 3 for those of you playing along at home. Most demoniacal of all shocks is that of the abysmally unexpected and grotesquely unbelievable. Nothing I had before undergone could compare in terror with what I now saw, with the bizarre marvels that sight implied. This is the introduction about creating your character. Here's your steps to doing so. I'm skipping a little bit. So, yeah, sorry, I wanted to get to the thing that we didn't touch on, which was age in the previous one. I'm getting ahead of myself. Shame on me. This is supposed to be a workshop. Yeah, rolling isn't not detailed. It just might take a little bit extra time. But we can do it this way too, the rolled method. So let's do this. Ivalon, why don't you get us started? Roll 3d6 in chat. And we'll do it by the book this time. 3, 4, and 1. So 8. 8 times 5 is 40. Now let's do con. Roll a 3d6 and multiply it by 5 to get our constitution characteristic. Oh no, I scrolled way too much and too far. Let's see. Hero Dragon, are you still here, or are you picking popcorn out of your teeth? All right, I'll keep this thing rolling. 1, 2, 1. 4 times 5 is 20. Hey, Turbo, good to see you. Welcome back. Turbo, will you please type exclamation point 2D6? Noctis is here, and you can get on this too. All right. So Turbo exclamation point 2D6, please. Six and 7. All right. Well, congrats on getting a 7 on a D6. Hey, ma'am. I know you're meowing, but please don't claw my chair. Hey, there we go. Just behave. Hey, hey, hey. It's not a scratching post. Hey. It's not a scratching post. Let's just relax and chill, okay? Thank you. I know I love you too. Alright. So size is 2d6 plus 6, and then multiply by 5. So we have defied nature by getting a 7 on a d6. So that is going to be 19 times 5 for our size. It's a 95. Now let's roll our dex. 3d6 by 5. Noctis. Exclamation point 3d6, please. Yes, the Call of Cthulhu. 2, 2, and 4. We have another 8. So 8 by 5 is 40 for dex. Now we're going to go to our appearance. Let's generate our appearance. If there's anyone else out there in chat who hasn't rolled, speak up. Malice Conspiracy, are you still out there? James Norris. I don't know if Armin is here. Craigar went to bed. This is participatory. I'd love to call on people for this. Ma'am. Chill. Hi. All right, well, I'll tell you what, Turbo. In the interest of keeping things going here, we must have a shy chat. Exclamation point 3d6, please. And James, I'll call on you next. Another 7 on a d6. 11, so that's 18. Yeah, 7 again. Oh, mysterious. Ma'am, please. I don't want to kick you out, but I will. By the way, for anyone out there, if you don't know, the dice rolling bot, why can you get a 7 on a d6? There's a couple reasons why. Stop it. For real, I'm going to throw you out. That's fine. You can rub and be filled with love and adoration and purrs. But stop tearing up my chair, please. Here. Come down here and say hi. Right here. Come on. Yeah. Cool, you could do it. I knew you could. I believed in you. Alright. Just don't knock stuff over, please. Next up is intelligence. James, 2d6, please. Exclamation point, 2d6. 8. All right. 8 plus 6 is 14. Times 5 is 70. Next up is our power, which is 3d6. Ivalon, can I get a 3d6 roll, please? Exclamation point, 3d6. Seven, 4, and 5. We have a statistical outlier for a character here. Let's roll with it though and see what happens. We have a 16. So 16 times 5 is 80. And our education is 2d6 plus 6. Noctis Silence. May I please have an exclamation point 2d6 roll in chat? Four and 6 is 10. Plus 6 is 16. High roll in character here. An education, and by the way, this is where things will get into more detail. An education of 60 suggests the investigator is a high school graduate, while a score of around 70 indicates a person with some college years. Those with an education greater than 80 have most likely conducted graduate level work and have a degree, as expected of a person who has been to a university of some kind. Note that sometimes a person with a high education may not necessarily be schooled in the traditional sense, but rather may be self-taught and possesses a highly studious and observant nature. Now, let's look at our luck. Are we down on our luck? So far, we've had some pretty good luck. And I guess, Turbo, let's find out if your luck holds out. Are we going to get lucky 7s? Give me a 3d6 roll, Turbo. Show me those triple 7s in chat for completely blowing away the statistical probabilities for luck. Five, 1, and 4. Okay, so that is 10. And so our luck is 50. Our sanity, remember, our starting sanity is going to be equal to our power. Now, this is where our modifiers can come into play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7. We have 7 different. I don't know if I have a D7. You know what? I'm going to look at something. Did I ever program a 1D7? I did not. Okay. So we're going to do this. Ivalon, because it's possible to get a 7 on a D6, I want you to roll 1D6 and determine the investigator's age, since that's going to confer some bonuses and penalties that we didn't get in that quick start. I'll call on you for something, Turbo. Hold on, be patient. 2. All right, we're between 20 and 39 years old. Apparently I can't put a dash. Nor letters. I can put a point. And I can't put a tilde. Alright. Well, whatever. 20.39. Yeah, kind of the default. Not a lot of changes. In this case, this says make an improvement check for education. Now, we are already pretty highly educated. But in this case, to make an improvement check, this is how you level up in Call of Cthulhu. You have to roll a percentile and roll over. Yes, so Turbo, you can roll this. I know you're eager to. So Turbo, I want you to type exclamation point 1D100. And we're looking for an 81 to 100. And if we get it, we're going to improve education by 1d10 to show that we had the room to learn something, and so we did. 96 Turbo. There you go. You have your luck back. So now let's have Noctis. I want you to roll 1d10, please. Exclamation point 1d10, and how are we improving our education? 2. We have an 82 for education. We're doing pretty well with our brain meat up here, okay? Now, the half and fifth characteristic values, we already went over those, and on a sheet like this, it's an auto-populating one. Damage bonus and build was a strength and size comparison. So if you add those together, here we have a size of 95 plus a strength of 40 is 135. If we come over here, we have a build of 1 and plus 1d4 damage. Let's take a look. Is that true? A build of 1 and our damage bonus is plus 1d4. The calculator knew what it was doing. Hit points is con and size. So we come back over here. What was con and size? 20 plus 95 is 115. You divide that by 10. And we have 11 hit points because it says to round down. Movement rate. Now, this was something that the quick start, like the website, didn't touch on. It just gave a flat value for a human, right? Our human has a move of 9, though the quick start said we should have an 8 being a human. Well, let's take a little bit more in-depth look in the rulebook. An investigator can move a number of yards or meters up to 5 times their movement value in 1 round. If both dex and strength are each less than size, then your movement is 7. If either strength or dex is equal to or greater than size, or if all 3 are equal, your movement is 8. If both strength and dex are each greater than size, your movement is 9. So we're looking at strength, dex, and size. So our strength and our dex are both lower than our size. Our movement should be 7, according to this. So we come down here. Yep, there it is. Movement 7. We don't know yet, Turbo. We haven't met the person yet. We're working on it. Little bit by little bit here. And we rolled the age. If age is in the 40s, deduct 1 from movement, 2, 3, 4, all the way through. Right now, our age is not affecting our movement, and so there we go. And just as, right here, just as this says, if you're randomly rolling, or heck, even if you're going to use the standard build from the site, it's okay to have low stats, or no stats, or to have a character that you're like, yeah, you know what? I may not be able to move as fast as everyone else. There's definitely advantages to playing an older character in Call of Cthulhu, though. So my movement may not be high, but ooh, if I don't get those extra other things, it's okay to play a character with flaws in any role-playing game, whether it's in D&D, especially in a game like this. All right, Turbo, be well. Thank you for helping us. And remember, in this workshop, as it should at your own desk or tabletop, the story will write itself. The character will build itself. Let's keep following through. Determine our occupation. An occupation shows how an investigator makes a living, be it as a doctor, a student, or a low-life fraudster. An occupation also reflects a particular investigator's field of expertise, and so dictates which of their skills should be higher. The actual occupation of your investigator will have limited effect during the game. It is simply a basis for your investigator's starting skills and helping to define his or her backstory. Some occupations are typically Lovecraftian: antiquarian, author, dilettante, doctor of medicine, journalist, police detective, and professor. Other occupations are not those you would normally find in a Lovecraft story. However, they may interest particular players and be fun to play in a Call of Cthulhu game. An occupation ties together a cluster of skills. For instance, in sample occupations, antiquarian encompasses appraise, art craft, history, library use, other language, one interpersonal skill, spot hidden, and one other skill of the player's choice. Some occupations include no free choices, others may have 2 or more. Once you have chosen the occupation for your investigator, write it down on the investigator sheet, and then make a note of the occupation's professional skills. And some samples can be found on page 40. I agree with you, Noctis. So here, after all those rules, and you go, ugh, rules, my eyes rolled up in the back of my head. Here's the walkthrough. Nice and easy for you. Nice and easy. Points to it. Everything is here. And by the way, Harvey Walters is going to be your guide through the rule book. This was a very cleverly done thing. So here are the sample occupations. They're just a sample of the possibilities. The Investigator's Handbook provides details for many more. Use these as a guide when creating occupations not listed here. Occupations important in Lovecraft stories are noted as Lovecraftian, while those marked with modern are only available for modern-day game settings. If creating a new occupation, confine the number of skills to 8. Otherwise, the notion of an occupation being a concentration of knowledge and ability becomes pointless. Some occupations, like hacker, exist only in specific settings, such as the modern day. You should choose only those skills appropriate to the historical setting in which your game is taking place. If you're unsure about this, talk to your keeper. And in this case, we have a credit rating 30. So if we take Antiquarian, for example, we have a credit rating of 30 to 70, and our occupation skill points are education times 4. And there's a lot that was in here, too. So allocate the resulting total, or, well, I'm sorry, I read one sentence. I was one sentence ahead here. After you have chosen an occupation, calculate your occupation skill points using the characteristics specified alongside the occupation. Allocate the resulting total as percentage points among those skills listed for the occupation, your investigator's professional skills. Points should also be allocated to credit rating within the range indicated for the occupation. Not all the skills need to have points allotted to them. However, points left undistributed are lost. Note that each skill has a number in brackets next to it on the investigator sheet. This is the base chance of success in that skill, and any points allocated to that skill are added to this base number. So you can make a general list if you did want to forego your concentration of 8 skills. Write down the total points for each skill on the investigator sheet. The sheet also has a place to write the half and fifth values. To do a professor here as well, we absolutely can do that. So, professor here, you're seeing, oh, there's that Lovecraftian. Okay, so library use, other language, own language. So let's mark it down that we, again, this is for purposes of leveling up, but I'm just going to put a check mark here to show that we're taking these as a rolled professor. Library, psychology. Library, psychology, and 4 other skills. As an academic or personal specialties. So we have our core 4, and then we have 4 others. I suppose we could randomize these as well. Last time I kind of went with the more physical. Well, I don't know. We did the same thing. If we're keeping it, if we're going to keep it similar, apples to apples, we have just this powerhouse, someone who is very physically built, maybe not quite athletic, and somewhat frail of health, but very large, very powerful of will. And just a force in their looks, their appearance, their comeliness, and their education, their intelligence. So this might be, if we're going for a concept of a professor and someone who doesn't exactly, who's kind of frail, but is built, just a big body here. This is kind of like a Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil 8. What would we be teaching if not Zen and the art of motorcycle repair? We're determined. We're large. We're beautiful. We're highly educated. This would probably be maybe a we're talking about the 1920s. What classics? I was thinking a finishing school, like a finishing school headmistress. So someone who teaches etiquette, someone who is who teaches, you balance the books on your head kind of thing. She may not be able to do it. Her dex is But, I'm getting someone who has or even a political science. So we have the headmistress of like a boarding school, right? Of a finishing school. Now, if that's the case, Noctis, Ivalon, anyone else watching, what are 4 other... If we're going for this headmistress of a of a finishing school, a boarding school, what would be four other skills that we would presumably be better at? Charm, okay, yep, of a charm school, right? Charm. Intimidate, would you think? Persuade. Well, all right, persuade and intimidate, or persuade or intimidate? She may not be the persuading type. I think she's the telling type. I think intimidate will make sense. All right, two more. Do you think that she'd be good at accounting if she's the headmistress? Books and measuring? Accounting might be something appropriate. Even appraise might be. Ah, a listener inner, huh? Ah. Well, yeah, we could give her stealth if she's the type to, if she is the type that would, that might be that eavesdropper, the one that tries to fit in despite her size. The spot hidden can work too for students who are trying to, sneak something. Now, these are based on her occupation and are going to tend to be higher. And then there's some other ones where we'll get kind of a general bump. Psychoanalysis, maybe. The eavesdropping, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do the spot hidden in stealth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, our credit rating is between 9 and 30. I'm sorry, 20 and 70. I was looking at Private Investigator. Between 20 and 70. And these are points that we're buying out of education times 4. And who doggies do we have a yes ma'am here? 82 times 4 is giving us our pool of percentages. That's 328. So we have 328 points that we can buy. And we must buy at least a 20 credit rating and no more than a 70. Yeah, give her some good wealth, right? Topper. And she's still young too, right? She is she's what? 20 to 39. Actually, do this, Ivalon. Roll 1d20 in chat for me, please. We'll put down her age. Lands on a 20. She's 39. There we go. So if we max out her credit rating, and we go up to 70, that leaves us with 258. And remember, we can save some of those points to drop into, you know, miscellaneous other things as well. Oh, actually, hang on. Occupation, I think you might actually lose those. Let me reread that again. I want to make sure I'm presenting correctly. Points should also be allocated to credit rating within the range indicated for the occupation. Not all the skills need to have points allotted to them. Okay, no. I'm sorry, that was. However, points left undistributed are lost. So this is special for there. Note that each skill is a number in brackets next to it on the investigator's sheet. This is the base chance of success. Well, no, okay, so it okay, no, I was correct. It just says it at the very end, where it's saying, although these are parentheses, not brackets, it just says that, note that each skill is a number in brackets next to it on the investigator's sheet. This is the base chance of success in that skill, and any points allocated to that skill are added to the base number. Well, maybe, but we can also hire accountants, too. If we take a look... let's do a quick little zap up here. A credit rating of 50 to 89, and we're already wealthy with some degree of luxury. So we're not quite at the rich, great wealth and luxury, but we're doing pretty well for ourselves. And there's a couple ways that you can go about distributing these. You can add, I don't know, 10 to something and bleed it all out until you come with a remainder. You can really go heavy and then just leave leftovers after leftovers after leftovers. And if I recall, there was a rule that says you may not start with something with, I think, with a skill over something. General living standards and credit rating. That's the create the backstory. Well, so for example, in our old professor, we had 60% in psychology, so we can add 50 points from 250. Oh, okay, so at least the 4 where we had crossover. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. Now, this says psychology 10%. If I put in a 50, it's going to presume that 50 was the grand total. So, like what Ivalon brought up here, if you want it to be 60, we're spending 50 points because you get the 10. In the quick example, it's already baking in kind of some of the variants or variables to things. So now we have 208 points remaining. If we go back, we had speak language other was 50. Whoop. Speak language other was 50. So we're going to put 49 points. We're putting 49, so 208 minus 49 into other. And then speak language own is 40. Which, as that's based on education, yeah, that should be an 82. With the affixed numbers, it definitely can be interesting, but so actually, you know what that would have done? We can spend points. I guess, because this 40, I guess we could add to our education for other professor and make it 90 for our own. And, then that means that we could, oh, okay, so yeah, even for that one then? Okay. That's fine. So that's the freebie. We saved 82 points. Now we can increase it if we want to. Next up we had library use, which was at 60. So for that we need to add 40 points. Then, let's see, we had our 2 languages. Oh, and psychology, 60. Psychology, all right, so those were our 4. We had our 2 languages, psychology, and library use. Those are now matched up, and we have 119 remaining. We have 119 remaining. Investigators also draw upon experience, skills, and knowledge gained from hobbies. Int times 2 and a lot to any skills, which can add further points to occupation, except Cthulhu. Okay, so that's bonus, and we'll save that. So we have 19 and some more bonus that remains. So we should bring some other things up that I think would be important here. Intimidate at 15. I think that she should have a pretty, a fair chance between Intimidate and Charm. So if we bring both of these up to, I don't know, maybe 40 on Charm and 50 on Intimidate? How do we want to feel it out? Well, let's say that we do. If we go 40 and 50... that's 90 minus 30, so that's minus 60 more points. So we have 59 points remaining. What else were we trained in? Spot, hidden, and stealth. Okay, yeah, we'll pop over to that. We're an eavesdropper. Oh, I forgot to put one in listen. That's fine. We can bring up listen with something. Listen's already at 20%. We'll spend 10 points from this to bring it up to a 30. And so we have 49 remaining. Let's put 20 into stealth, so we have 29 remaining. Let's put 25 in spot hidden, so we have 4 remaining. And, you know, some of these are at 1% and we have 4. I wonder if there's one that we could get a 1 in 20 chance. Huh. Pilot something? Oh, I don't know. Is she an accomplished pilot? She might have done a lot of traveling in order to gain this, or maybe she can pilot a hovercraft for all I know. Or, you know what? Psychoanalysis was brought up. Or she might partake in a science of some kind. What could be a silence or a science or something she pilots? We could bring up medicine to a 5% chance. Now, that's not saying that we can't bring occult to 9% with our 4 floating. We absolutely can. But I don't know. It might be fun to throw the 4 into something. Unless she's an archaeologist or an anthropologist as well. And that kind of goes into sciences. You know what? I think she'd make a great captain. She can pilot an airplane, kind of. There was that one time where she helped make a landing. All right, that finishes out our points from that. Our personal interests are int times 2. And then we can put some bonuses into some other things as well. Int times 2, we get 140 extra points. 140 extra points. We can round things out. Oh, wait, you know what? Airplane might be fun. Locksmith is a 1% normally. If she's an eavesdropping busybody, I think that makes a lot more sense for her personality. Locksmith is at 5. Now we have 140 more points to drop into things. And in this case, I don't know what needs topped off. Maybe we bring her locksmithing up some. Oh, yeah, check out 54. Novice or amateur is 1 to 5%. 6 to 19 is a neophyte, beginner with a small amount of knowledge. Amateur to 49%, professional to 74, expert to 89, and you are a master among the world's best with a 90%. Also, we may spend skill points to purchase a skill specialization. Yeah, I think 90 was the cutoff. Now, that being said, due to supernatural occurrences, we have a very interesting person here. So we have experts. She's definitely going to be an expert in, in language. She should be an expert also in charm. So let's bring this to 75. Or no, wait, we had intimidate. Let's put 25 more points in. 140 minus 25. So she's an expert in language, well, in her language, in intimidation, and probably charm. I mean, she's very maybe a very hot and cold kind of a person here. Now, if we do that, we have to put 35 more points in. Okay. And we can round some other things up here. Let's put 10 points in locksmith, so she might have a better chance. So that would be 45 plus 25 is 140 minus 70. We have 70 points remaining for our eavesdropping finishing school headmistress here. I know accounting was brought up. Appraise might be something. And I know that we had our spot hidden. Stealth, maybe we bring up stealth. She has a 50-50 chance. I mean, despite her, despite her size here, that she can get around. Listen, we should bump up. First aid. So we'll put 10 points into first aid. So she knows a little bit here. Swimming is a hobby. Oh yeah, because swim would bring it to 20. Well, 20 is already amateur. Possesses some talent or rudimentary skill. So yeah, we could put swim. We could drop 5 in there, and that leaves 25 points remaining. That's a very good question. I don't know. It could be a lot of things. I'm kind of... leaning towards accounting or appraise. And we could just plop our last 25 in there. Appraise is evaluating something, and she evaluates people. She does have library use for gaining knowledge. She probably doesn't account. Appraise might work. Let's put that at 30, and that consumes... Whoops, and that consumes our final points. That's the quickfire method, everyone. By the way, that was on the website, and that's what Ivlon had been talking about here. Oh yeah, there's the a cap on starting skill values. If you feel that skills are a concern, simply add an upper limit, such as 75%. Okay, and there's the quick chart for that stuff. And there's a much bigger, easier to read living standards. Um... Okay. Personal interest, weapons and firearm skills. She's not skilled in that. So that it is what it is, and we have our credit rating. Now, something that was left for, well, you decide what it is. And I would agree that there is a measure of that. This page that we briefly looked at does give really good prompts for your personal description. Use your words. Describe a character in a story. Narrate things. And there are random tables for inspiration. You know how I love those. We could we can roll for something in these as well. There was not a chart for that in the first one. We have significant people, ideology, beliefs, and a personal description. Do this. Yeah. It doesn't have to fill everything, but let's have a little fun. Ivlon, 2d10 in chat, please. 2d10. And kind of like with 5th edition D&D, and I love this about that, moving from other things, is baking in the background of ideal, bond, and flaw with some other things. 4 and a 7. A belief in fate. And significant people, a childhood friend. Now, who are these people? I don't know, but they exist now, and we should consider it in the grand scheme of our investigator here. Next, roll to determine why that person is so significant. So let's have James, if you're here still, 2d10, please. Eight and 6. A feeling of regret. You should have died in their place. You fell out over something you said. You didn't step up. So the significant person is a childhood friend over whom we have a feeling of regret. And the second number was 6. Our meaningful location is number 6. A place connected with your ideology or belief. Parish, church, Mecca, Stonehenge. All right. So a meaningful location goes into our belief in fate. A place connected with our belief in fate. Where did we have a fated encounter? Does that explain why we look the way we do? Or why we are so above average in things and very low, like below average in others? And what's a treasured possession and a trait that we have? Oh, I'm sorry, Ivlon. I see you got sniped by Kaihira. Yeah, we'll go back to personal description. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess Kaihira already jumped the gun and rolled. Ivlon, you get to do this one because your roll was sniped earlier. Give me a 2d10 for a treasured possession and a trait. One and 7. An item connected with your highest skill. And our highest skill is language. If you don't want language, then that could be intimidate or charm. And so maybe you want to make it that if you don't want it to be your language. You know who I'm reminded of? You know who I'm reminded of? With this kind of a build? And even with the charm and intimidate, hexadecimal. Do you know who I'm talking about? If I mention the name hexadecimal? Yeah. Oh, there you go, Evelyn. You got some taste. And what this, so if this was, it could be connected to language, of course. If it's connected to intimidate and charm, you know how in all the scene changes, that's when her face would too. So maybe a mask or some kind of maybe it's a psychological device, because she's pretty good at psychology, that broadcasts her mood so that it, people understand what's happening. And then we had our trait was number 7. A ladies' man or seductress. Suave, charming voice, enchanting eyes. Well, there you go. It writes itself, everyone. Yeah. It writes itself. Excellent. Now, other things like scars or whatever, maybe you could find other charts. By the way, other ways of creating investigators. Just start over. I'm sure the investigator's handbook has other charts and a lot of other good things. You can look at point buy. You can look at choosing where to roll and going from there. These were examples in these 2 videos of the Quickfire and roll through it. If we go back for the one thing that we didn't do, which is the personal description, think of a distinct look that sums up your investigator's appearance. Here are some possibilities. This says choose rather than roll. There's a lot that's here, and so that's kind of a matter of, I don't know, how, in a word, how would you describe this person for appearance? As that's not, I mean, I guess we could technically roll, but our wealth and our wealth and our spending level, we can, if we look here at wealthy, we have a cash value and our assets and our spending level. Our spending level is 250. Our cash, was credit rating times 5. So 350. And we can detail assets, but this is telling us that our assets are challenge rating times 500. So we have 35,000 in assets, which... Oh, is this... This might be for written words? Hello? Alright, I'll just put it here. And in fact, if we do a quick inflation calculator... Let's put... Why is this... We'll just say 1920. Why can I not type numbers into... Oh, because it's all the way over here. That's why. I was looking in the wrong space. 35,000 in January of 1920 is worth how much in September of 2023? So she has over $500,000 in assets. Not too bad, not too bad. So there's other things, and go into detail. Commission an artist to make some art for your character. Flesh this out. Go into the gear and possessions. Talk to the keeper. Take plenty of notes. How would you like to play this character? Are there some quirks or ticks or phrases or sayings that she has or uses? These are all great references. Are they expressly mechanical? No. But they don't need to be. If you're having fun and telling a story, then that's what's important. And I will bring up one more thing here. I showed a little bit of it a little earlier. I also have the Down Darker Trails setting guide, which is Call of Cthulhu in the Old West. And you're going to find a lot of it runs on the same engine, kind of set in a different time period, right? Old West investigators creating characters for the Old West. Quick reference for half and fifth values. Here's some Old West occupations, some altered and new skills that you might want to consider. Here's the Quickfire character creation method as well. And if we go down and we take a look at some of this stuff, Old West occupations. Are you a confidence trickster, a cowboy, or a cowgirl? An artist? And there's examples of maybe what kind of art that you would be producing. And I want to see, because you mentioned modern being adjusted for inflation here. If we come down to examples of credit rating, which they might have custom. Merchants and outlaws. Scholars and teachers. Optional rule, investigators with Civil War experience. Altered and new skills. Drive auto could exist. The skill list is altered here for things like in here, animal handling doesn't exist, but animal handling for an Old West character, you have an automatic 5% chance there. Electrical repairs at 0, because what's electricity, or unless it's something special. So if you do get period specific books, pay attention to little adjustments like this, as our professor might end up a little differently if needing to live in the Old West here.
Yeah, Verona.
Hi, Mushio. It's good to see ya. Thank you very much for renewing the sub. Well, I don't see it. They might have an adjusted table in here to go back into the 1800s from the 1920s. But if you do get a supplement like this, or an Atomic Age Call of Cthulhu, have fun, lean into it. And I would even challenge you all out there. In fact, Ivalon, if you do this, M and 4 uppercase, or 4 capital O's, we have a moo. Try making yourself. And don't, I mean, if you want to roll it out, or you want to assign the numbers for the quickfire method or something along those lines, have fun trying to build yourself as an investigator. Look at the charts that were there, especially with the ones that were pointed out. In credit rating, You might know the number of your credit rating. In how skilled. Oh yeah, where were they? What tier skill are you in something? Would you actually have an 80%? Me? I would be very spread out across the sheet. So I would have a lot of skills that are lower level, but I am at least dangerous enough in enough things. Oh, 54, thank you. So ask yourself those questions as you're dropping points in. Are you an amateur at something, possesses some talent? Are you a professional at a minimum of 50%? Allows a character to eke out a living from the skill, equivalent to a bachelor's degree in a specific subject? I would have a 75, maybe even higher. I don't officially have a doctorate in behavioral economics, but I should. I would definitely have at least 175 in something. I would say due to my age or how steeped I am in my profession, even my level of education, I have a master's degree. An executive master's degree. Wow. But that's something else too. If you go, well, I mean, I dabble in a lot of stuff. All my stuff is around 25%. Well, that's fine. A character doesn't just have to always be a handful of 50s and 60s and then absolutely nothing else. But anyway, we made 2 interesting characters together. And I hope you enjoyed the process.